Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for today's modern hunter. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. And the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, home of some of the finest hunting in North America. Now, here's Larry.
Gary Robertson, how in the world are you? I know that you've been busy because I see every once in a while I get a little note from you that says, I'm doing this. You're on to working with a new product, as I recall.
Yes, sir. We're, I was, as you know, you and I guess we're the oldest guys in the hunting game nowadays. All the rest of our buddies have died off.
Well, Zumbo is still there. I talked to him a couple
All right, that's right.
ago.
I forget Zumbo, but then he's in Wyoming, so
Well, yeah, you're right. He doesn't count.
down here in Texas, we're rapidly becoming, if we're not, the senior citizens of the industry.
Senior statesmen, as it were.
Yeah, statesman. I like that better. No, I was one of these guys, just like you, that. I'd tried all this scent control stuff, different products, and, while they may have helped some, I just never really was satisfied. So I would, I did what I always did, just continued to, to use the wind in my favor as best I could. And that's the way I set up every time I went to, to rattle up a whitetail or to try to call a coyote, because the nose on those critters is what gets you beat most of the time. So anyway, then this young fella out of the Houston area, came to us with a product, and I was skeptical. So he said, tell me how well it worked. And anyway, so I started using it. I used it first, rattling whitetails. That's the only way I hunt a whitetail anymore. I can't sit in the blind. If I can't trick him and beat him, and call him in, then he wins.
He wins.
And,
I agree.
I'll go home. That's okay. I tip my hat to him and we go on. But I started using, this product, and it's, by the way, it's going to be called Wraith, Wraith. Now, I didn't know what Wraith was at all, but my son Steve tells me that that's kind of like a souped-up ghost. I think it was in some of those Harry Potter books, which I never read.
No,
but anyway,
same here.
But anyway, that's where that's where Wraith, where that came from.
Cool.
Anyway, so souped-up ghost. So anyway, I started using this product when I was rattling whitetails, and when we went out the first two times, I didn't even carry a gun because I wanted to just see what the deer would do.
Yes,
And as you know, the millions of them you've rattled up, you know, they can come from anywhere, but they're going to end up downwind of the source of the sound.
always.
They want to get wind always of, you know, who that might be fighting, because it's probably one of their buddies. And they'll have knowledge if they want to tie into him or not. But anyway, they're always going to the downwind. So that's what we did. Steve and I just went out with the camera, and we rattled up deer. And I think there in 2 mornings we rattled up somewhere over $30.
Oh my goodness!
And we, you know, almost every one of those went to our downwind, and we got it. We were able to capture it on video. They came in. We had some deer that, you know, thought they were downwind and kind of stopped and studied the situation. You could see them, you know, relocate to make sure they were downwind.
Exactly.
And they still, not one of those deer, in my opinion, spooked because of he picked up my odor.
Right.
Now I had that one, you know, really nice buck come in, and it appears he spooks off me. But and the actual situation was, he had one that actually came in from the downwind, and then relocated again and stood there for over a minute, and he saw a doe downhill that was about 100 yards, and he went to her. But he wasn't spooked for me at all. And it was rather, you know, it's obvious. You could read his body language. But,
exactly.
You know, just after that, then I was like, okay, we can trick a whitetail's nose. But to me, the coyote's nose is probably even better than a deer's.
Without a doubt, I think so too.
And then I think probably the bear is even better than that. I haven't tested on bear, but I have been testing it when I'm calling, because, as you know, Larry, that's every setup you and I have ever made was based on where the wind was.
Yes,
and there's a lot of times we passed up some really good spots to call because the wind wasn't right. And so I started calling some of those marginal places, you know, and getting by with it. I'm especially seeing it work well when I spray the call down and I spray my feet and legs down, because a lot of guys don't realize what gets you busted most of the time when you're calling coyotes is that scent trail you're laying as you walk out and set that call out there.
Yes, sir. Right.
And then your stink is on the call. Well, that's actually what they're going to go to downwind of that call. If they can't get stink off of it, boy, that changes the game. So while I'm still spraying myself down, I'm really spraying my feet and legs and that call down, because I have found if they don't get stink off that, it's making getting those coyotes killed a lot easier than it was before.
So, interesting.
Just, you know, for the guy that, you know, wanting that little edge, and actually it's not a little one, it's a huge edge. This product is working for me, and here's it from a guy that never thought I would be saying that. And I know you've had some experiences with it as well.
You know, I have. I got to play around with some of the, we'll just call it prototype things. And basically, I had the exact same things happen that you described. And particularly, I had got a chance to use it a fair amount during the time when bucks were coming to horns. And what I saw the same thing there. So very often, as you mentioned, you know they're going to come downwind. So, you know, you're looking. I went into several places after finding out that, you know, they wouldn't even realize I was there when you got right down to it, of having coming in from circling downwind to going into those places where I was going to go, man, I'd really like to call here, but I mean, a rattle here, same thing as you were doing with some of the coyotes, going to some of those marginal areas that were really, you know, just had the feeling, man, if I could sit down right here, I'd rattle up, but that wind is blowing directly into the only position that I don't want it to because I'm not going to get a shot. And so maybe because it's thick or because there's just one little alleyway and those bucks have a tendency to come running in and particularly when you're not sprayed down this kind of thing, of smelling you and immediately gone. And that's what I had happen is those bucks that normally just came running in were gone. They would stand there trying to figure out, like, you can almost see a quizzical expression on their face, like, I know there's something here, right here, where is it? But they would stop long enough to where you could really get an evaluation of the size of antlers and age and have enough time for a shot. So, then I too got to play with it one time or a couple times on an antelope hunt where I sprayed myself down. I sprayed down my gun, my hat, that I wear all the blooming time. And you would think because of that it would have a horrible odor, particularly to animals. And then I spotted a nice mature buck that was just kind of feeding, not paying a whole lot of attention. I circled around so that I knew I was walking directly with the wind at my back, although they don't pay as much attention to sometimes, I think, to sense is what whitetail deer do. But I was in the broad open, and I just kept walking. And every once in a while, this antelope wasn't doing anything particular. He just kind of looked in my direction. But you could tell it was like he was looking through me, like he didn't see me. Or if he saw me, he didn't see me as any kind of threat. I kept walking and walking and walking, and he kind of looked my way. And finally, I stopped 13 steps away from where this antelope was, and he still didn't spook. And finally, I just stood there for a long time, and he just kind of looked in my direction, but again, it was like he was looking through me. Finally, I turned around and walked away, and we got all that on camera. I had the cameraman with me, and I tried that kind of thing in the past, and you didn't get anywhere close enough to where you could even think about getting a shot at those things. So that impressed me as well too. So I think there's got to be something else working there beyond just the scent thing as well too.
Well, there is, and I was fortunate enough. I've seen that footage of you walking to that antelope,
right?
And that since then we have sprayed down with this stuff. All of our clothes inside and out.
Yeah, that's right.
Then spray it on our hands and wipe it on our skin, whatever. And once we do, your thermal image is almost totally eliminated. That's what we have found out.
That had to have been what it was, because I've done the same thing with other animals during that time frame. I'd spray my hair, spray my face, my beard, my gun, all that kind of thing, and it was like I didn't exist.
Yeah, we found out kind of by accident. We had these FLIR optics, we were hunting at night, and
yes,
one guy had sprayed down and another one didn't. Well, the fellow that didn't spray down, of course, he's glowing. He has his thermal image. And then the guy that had sprayed down was almost invisible. So deer, as you know, and predators have thermoceptors. They see heat, even in daylight. And if we can eliminate that, which it appears that we have, it does make you somewhat invisible.
I don't know about the science of this, but I know from a practical aspect what I saw, and I was just totally amazed. Like I said, I have no idea the science. I didn't even think about the possibility of what, like what you're talking about, is using a thermal or anything like that to see if there was actually, what was happening. But with what you're saying, that explains a whole lot and makes it even all much more interesting.
Right. Well, you and I have calling in South Texas for coyotes. We'd be camoed up, face mask, everything, and back then in the shade, have the sun right, and a dang coyote would step out, and the first thing, we'd have the wind right. This was back in the old days. Wham, that coyote locks in. I was always like, how did he How did he know where I was?
Right.
Well, I think that goes back to that thermal image. Even though we were camoed, bam, you're still producing that, and that's what catches their eye. So if we can reduce that, which if these night vision products are telling us the truth, then that's also going to increase our odds of really getting close to stuff. Now, if you're out there moving, I think they still see that. You're going to spook them, but if you're sitting still and and don't have that thermal image, I think your chances of getting by with is much better.
Oh my goodness, much interesting, almost too interesting when you get right down to it. My goodness.
Yeah, it's been fun. I turned 73 this year, and I don't know, been hunting for too long, and it's made hunting, the calling game, even a little more fun, because I'm actually getting away with things that I didn't get away with before. I feel kind of like I'm cheating, but my age, I need to cheat, to make up for some other losses of senses.
But what makes that interesting too, beyond all that, is that now you get to, with this being the case, now you get to see what that animal, how he would naturally react, as opposed to knowing or seeing the thermal image or seeing, feeling whatever it is. Now you can see what that animal really does. And not only in calling, even if you're just finding your spot and sitting in a place where you've been seeing critters, having them come in, not being able to essentially know that you're there, period, in any form or fashion. That makes it a lot interesting as well, too, in terms of just learning behavior and how they act and react to different things. That's really cool. My gracious. Good gosh.
Just gives us, like you say, gives us a better chance to longer period of time to study them. Coyotes, I don't study them. As soon as it gives me that good shot, they're all trophies. But that whitetail, you don't want to shoot a 3-year-old buck that's got a ton of potential. If you can buy some time and study that deer, that's invaluable. Also, I think it's this product is going to be huge for the bow hunter. I've never been a bow hunter. My shoulders are messed up. I can't pull a bow anymore.
Understood.
But that bow hunting is going to be huge, and I would have given anything to have had this product back in the days when Phil Lyon and I were outfitting for elk up in New Mexico.
Oh my God! Yes.
We hunted Unit 9. It was primitive weapon, which it was muzzleloader and archery, and so we had to get close, and so many times. I mean, 90% of the time. You go to, a bugling bull and get in where close enough where you about want to start to try to work him, cow call him in. Next thing you know, the wind hits you on the back of the neck when it had been blowing in your face. And now they're crashing through the timber. We ran off so many elk. But anyway, I think this product is really going to help that guy as well. I don't know why it works.
It really will. And, of course, a lot of people, I spend a fair amount of time these days hunting up in kind of northeast Texas. I love hunting the woods up there. But as you well know, you think you have the wind figured out. In those trees, that wind swirls and does so many really weird things. I've set up, whether it was rattling or just found me a spot to sit. And, I think I got it figured out. And yet a deer that is supposedly directly upwind from you, you can see him, also that nose starts crinkling a little bit, he's smelling you. So I think in those kind of situations, it'll help a tremendous amount as well, too. And then,
I agree.
Of course, bear hunting. Oh, my God, we're hunting over baits a lot of times or, occasionally calling. My gracious, that could make all the difference in the world, particularly on some of these really old, wary bears. I've hunted some of them. Been fortunate to shot them, just got lucky. But those older bears, talking about those old boars that in the areas where they go to 6 feet, and then you get those that'll go to 7 foot square. Those kind of bears are they're so careful but this may be the
yeah.
key to getting onto some of those. I'm going to have to get some, try some. I've got a bear hunt coming up on the Choctaw Hunting Lodge in October, and it's a crossbow hunt. So, I
We'll
need to
pick
come.
you up, and that'll be a great test. The great test, because the bear's nose to me is just above everything else. Of course, the dang old hog's nose is pretty good too.
Well, a hog might be a pretty good test on that too. And I got a feeling if it's doing that to deer and coyotes, it'll do the same thing without a doubt to me when on hunting hogs. Probably need to get something to old Luke Clayton and let Luke get out there and mess with it a little bit too, because Luke, he kind of likes hunting them hogs more. I think more than he does anything else. Loves to fish, but I think that hog hunting kind of tops everything else out.
Yeah, I noticed that about him. And I think that's great. It gives him something to do 12 months out of the year.
Absolutely. I think he's about, he's in between you and me, and I'm on the upper end of all that. So, and we're talking
he's
about
another senior statesman.
He's another senior statesman in the outdoors when you get right down to it. How do people learn more about this? Is it on the market already? I know it'll probably be on the market fairly
we will
fall.
Have it on the market. We will have it on the market here in the next month or so. I'll be at the Trophy Hunter shows, and hopefully we'll be there, just showing it, and we'll get it out on social media, and here we go. Like I say, we want it on the market this fall, and it'll be there. It is a patented formula, and the cool thing is, you could drink it. It's not. That's
what I recall. Yes,
toxic. If you accidentally, get some in your mouth or whatever, it's not going to kill you. I think that's another great thing, a product that's safe for the environment.
And for people too, when you get right down to it, like I said, because a lot of those previous things you spray on your clothes or spray on you, and then you go, oh my God, what is it going to do in the long run? And this is from what I know a little bit from the background, this is a totally safe. How is the best way for people to learn about it, Gary? And how and what markets is it going to be in? Is it going to be primarily through your website, or is it going to be available other places? And how do they learn more about it?
We're going to have we'll have a website, and it'll be, I think, Hunt Labs Technologies is what it's going to be, our website. And then, of course, I'll be advertising it through Burnham Brothers, and so if you could go to Burnham Brothers, you could find it there as well. We'll be marketing it here, and then eventually we're probably going to, market it through some other channels, probably Amazon. So I feel like the demand for this is going to be very, very strong. In the hunting world, so many different applications.
Oh, there's so many different applications for what you're saying right there, and you're exactly right. It's going to take a little bit for people to all of a sudden realize, as you mentioned, you and I both have tried so many different things, and to me, a lot of times it had nothing to do from a biological perspective. It had to do from a psychological perspective, that if I felt it worked, it worked. But, from what you've told me and the little bit that I had from the background of this stuff, this product truly does work. And it does what it says it's going to do, and actually even more when you get right down to it. So I got a feeling once the word really gets out, it's going to be, oh my God. So you're going to have a bunch of people staffing your dadgum phones or your website or whatever to start being sure it gets out kind of thing.
We're wading into it slowly, but we'll do whatever we have to do to meet the bands. So we're committed for the long haul. I told them I would help them any way that I could because, just like you, if I find a product that works, I'll dang sure support them, and I'm going to support these folks.
Absolutely. Let me know where I can help on that. I know a little bit about the background, and we'll certainly get the word out where we can, and in a bunch of places as well too. We'll come back to that. I'm going to start doing a monthly video podcast, and one of the things I want to do, Gary, is I'll try to get with you here, off the phone kind of thing a little bit later, and we'll pick out some time. I want to film the entire process of you spraying yourself down, and then going out, maybe we can call it a fox or a coyote or whatever, and show how this product actually works. And we're going to do that like it starts with, just like a once a month kind of video thing, but it's going to be more like a TV show, but just be available a few places to start with. But I really want to do that. While we're talking, this is probably going to air sometime about middle part of July. So you'll be off to the Texas Trophy Hunter shows by then. We'll have our Texas Wildlife Association and Dallas Safari Club thing going on as well too. I think the TWA is the 11th, 12th, 13th, somewhere along and through there, and then DSC Expo, Summer Expo. That's July 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. So I'll be around there, and if people have got any questions, I'll have some of the product by then, and hopefully, and
Sure.
We'll talk a little bit about more, and I can tell you about some of the personal experiences that I've had, or tell them that. But we're heading into we got an interesting thing going on with all the screwworm things, and that's going to be the topic for a long time. But also, right now, we're into fawn, and we're into fawns in South Texas. And, of course, in a lot of places we've got fawns on the ground because it goes pretty much everywhere. Is this a good time to be out there with the Burnham Brothers freak calling coyotes and bobcats?
It is a good time to, of course, any time's a good time to be calling.
Well, yeah.
But, temperature-wise, it's too hot for me. But it's a great time to be out there and play a fawn distress sound.
Right.
That's what one of the sounds that really work this time of year. And for obvious reasons, I'm sitting here at the house, and I've got 8 or 10 pet does around here. And, I know what's going on because I see them at least twice a day. Well, as of yesterday morning, one had already had fawns. She had twins.
Yes,
then every one of those other does, the last 2 days, has disappeared. And what that tells me is they're out there. They had those fawns. And they'll wait a few days, and they'll start showing back up for a handout. I just feed them by hand. But, man, they're dropping them like crazy right now. I think most of our fawns are going to be born up here before the screwworm population really gets high. I think we're going to be okay. I'm more concerned about our buddies and friends to the south. Their fawn crops, come off a little later. And I can assure you, or I feel like that screwworm population is probably on the increase. And I think there's probably more of them than what we realize. So I see it as having an impact. Well, between the screwworm and the coyote, there won't be a lot of survivors. I could see where there'd be just a real failure in the fawn crop this year in parts of South Texas. I know I grew up, in southern Medina County and born in 53. And of course, they were screwworms then, and we fought them as a kid, we fought them every day through about 1967. And then we kind of seemed like we got them under control. By the way, we didn't have any deer to speak of on the ranch at that time. I can remember, if we saw a deer track, you went to town and told people about it. It wasn't until we got the screwworm under control that the deer started coming back to that country. And then in 72, we rocked along there pretty good in 72. Of course, you'll remember it, Larry. We had that another outbreak.
I do remember, yes, sir.
For a couple of years. And then we had to go back to our old habits, of being out there checking those, animals. We tried to check them twice a day,
right,
when they were calving. And we got a little more creative. I remember we got where we'd feed the cattle along the roads, right before dark, and then go back after dark with a spotlight and try to catch the calves. We tried to doctor all the baby calves. If you didn't, they were going to get screw worms pretty much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I remember the rarest case that we had. Of course, we had quite a few horses then, and of course everybody had. There were better cowboys and better horses in the screwworm days.
Yes, there were.
But I remember we had an old broodmare just turned running loose, and you know how the horse flies are pretty bad down there. All it took was a spot of blood, and for that screwworm fly to lay an egg, and we had screwworms in the shoulder of a mare. We weren't watching them, and then we found her several. I don't know how many days it had been eaten on her, but anyway, she recovered fine. But still, just from a drop of blood from a horsefly is what caused that wound. That's all that screwworm that we needed.
It's an interesting thing. I grew up, the same time frame, and we were in the cattle business, the hog business, and the chicken business, and had a bunch of horses. And my dad ran coon hounds, and it was a daily check because I saw it in chickens. I saw it in hogs, particularly when those pigs are born. People don't realize they have little bitty upper and lower canine, little tusks that are really sharp.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And those little pigs a lot of times will, fight amongst themselves, and all it would take is just a scratch, and particularly, and you'd see it around their head and that kind of thing. And so you really had to be cognizant of it. I think you're right on the fun thing. I feel sorry for what's going on right now, or this time frame that we're talking, particularly as we're just ready to get into the serious fawning time. That could be a huge problem as far as any kind of bringing any kind of hurt. 5 years from now, I got a feeling there are not going to be very many 5-year-old deer in a lot of that area. But hopefully they can continue to get through it. I know there's a lot of testing going on with different products. I think when it's going to come right down to it, a lot of those products are not going to help as much as what people think they might. Hopefully I'm wrong. And the sooner we can ramp up this fly program, the better it's going to be. But also right now too, if you're in an area where you have coyotes and you have fawns or about to have fawns, man, I'd be getting me one of those freaks if I didn't have one, and I'd be out every opportunity I could, because that 1, 2, 3, whatever number of fawns a coyote might be eating, those might be the ones that can get by away from screwworms. So I'd really be working on my predator population right now as much as I could.
Yes, sir. And like I say, this time of year, let's face it, that coyote's not only feeding, themselves, mom and pop, they're feeding that litter of pups. So they're doing lots of hunting this time of year.
Absolutely.
Both that male and female raise that litter. So you've got two adults that are hunting doubly hard, like say, for their survival and the survival of that litter. So their intake is tripled probably this time of year.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, that's exactly right. Pardon me, Gary. Gary, we talked a lot. You got me all choked up thinking about it. I don't touch South Texas like I used to, but I still feel sorry for what's going on. I think that's exactly what happened. Got me choked up about what's happening down that way. But
that's right. Between the screwworms and all those coyotes, it's going to be a short supply of 5-year-olds, like you say.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully that they can, as I mentioned, they can get that fly program ramped up, and I know there's some talk that they've finally figured out maybe a way to just produce male flies that they can release, and I think that would more or less maybe double the number of, double that effect kind of thing. So hopefully that's going to be the case. But the best, I tell people, I looked on the internet this morning before you and I talked, and there's so much information out there, and I hesitate before I say information because I didn't want to say bad information, but certainly questionable information. And through the Texas Wildlife Association, we're doing a weekly report on everything that's going on and it's science based. It's not conjectured and all that kind of thing. And people really want to learn about what's going on with the screwworms. They can go to www.texas-wildlife.org, and right at the very top of our website there'll be a place that you can link into what's going on and current research, the real research, and where the latest cases have been found, and what people can do, and hopefully too, to some extent, what our government's getting done. So that's a great source for anybody that wants to learn about them. Again, let's circle back one more time. I know you got things you got to go do. I've got to leave here and go do some things for DSC in just a little bit. The two places to learn about Wraith and also to continue learning about the freak and all the other great calls that you do. And the reason I say all the other calls, because I still love some of the mouth blown calls, particularly when it comes to trying to call mule deer, and I carry my C3 call everywhere I go, Gary. It stays in my pocket, or if it's not in my pocket, it's within reach of where I am. So how do people get more information again about Wraith? How do they get to order it? And also the same thing with the Burnham Brothers game calls.
Well, just go to burnhambrothers.com and you can get that information, or you can go to freakcalls.com. We have a separate website just for the freak, the ultrasonic game call. And then Hunt, you can go to wraith.com or Hunt Technologies. We'll have it there as well. And we'll have information on it when we have it available on Burnham Brothers, because we're going to be selling a lot of it through Burnham Brothers.
Perfect. We'll try to push a lot of folks there to start with, and I knowing about this product and having played with it a little bit, this product is real. It does what it says, and it does even more than that. So I am so glad that you and a couple of other guys have brought this product back to the market, or to the market, actually, I should say, because it does work.
All right. So far, everything I've seen tells me that it does, and as I said before, I was highly skeptical, but you can teach an old dog new tricks.
You know what? You're really right, because it taught me an old trick. It taught me a new trick, told this old dog a new trick. So, Gary, thank you so much for joining us around the campfire. I will be in touch with you. We'll get some time where we can go get some video and maybe even steal a little bit of your video that you got, if you don't mind, to put something together that we get to the public to teach them more. Tell your lovely wife and the rest of the family, Steve, and the rest of the boys hello for me, and we'll catch up with you here before too very long.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Same there. Tell all the family hey.
Will do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here next week.
DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn has also been brought to you by The Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, the Texas Wildlife Association, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Call.